again.
Yeah, got it.
And then you've got, my husband just goes, my long lost cousin.
Hello, I miss you.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I've got both recordings.
Okay, cool. Did you manage to, like, was it easy to kind of save into a file and then?
Seems to be saved into some C drive, Windows C drive or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think I'll be able to email them to myself and send them on or something.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. So where we left off was just that last question about, I think you're pretty much almost had covered it. Did you want to add anything else about the guardianship versus adoption? Open adoption, I should say.
No, probably just, what I mentioned in relation to really either being specific to the situation, depending on how supportive and involved birth family are, or whether there's less connection with a child to birth family, say, then you might be looking more at an adoption rather than a guardianship, where you might have this existing relationship between carers and birth family, and it all happens really natural. And for us, a guardianship is then a really obvious pathway to take. So legally they're similar, I guess. It's that they both accept the carers as having all the legal responsibility and parental responsibility. Just with a guardianship, order two, you can have the household supported with a guardianship allowance until the child is 18, whereas an adoption, that family also takes on all the financial responsibility. So there's differences there too.
Mm-hmm. And with guardianship, is that because you said guardianship, kinship, it's more linked to someone that they know, either a family, or like immediate family, or some type of relative, or it is like someone that they know, whereas open adoption might just be someone that they may not know initially.
Yeah, it really can depend. And we do look at, ideally when you're working with birth family and you've got a good relationship, but there's things happening for them, like I said before, that mean that a restoration isn't a viable thing. But if there's a good relationship there, we've got a couple with our agency right now that we're working on two guardianships, and it's great because we've got this really natural relationship between the carers and the birth family, and to the point where they've interacted in person, and it's all a very natural environment, but the birth family aren't in a position to have the child restored, so but also don't need agency support, so for us, for some children too, and not all, but some young people, they the idea of a caseworker coming over each month and sitting down and reminding them they're in care when they've got a really natural, when it's a really strong care environment, we have no concerns there. Obviously, that's essential for agencies to be able to go, well, look, we've got a really strong chance at a guardianship here, because this is a really fluid relationship that they've all got going on, and agencies being involved is really just reminding the child that they are in care. So guardianships can work really well when family are still involved. They're just examples, but adoptions can be certainly more viable when a child is really looking to recreate their identity, where their family really are difficult to contact, and it's quite inconsistent for the child, and an adoption just creates that feeling of they feel more complete being adopted to that household. So yeah, there's subtle differences.
Yeah. And with your organization that you're working for at the moment, do they provide leaving care or aftercare support for young people as they're entering into adulthood? Is there anything for them?
Yeah, there's a lot of work now we're doing with children when they reach 15. So we start a futures planning along with a case plan that is formulated every 12 months for a child for the next 12 months. But along with that, alongside with that, and both are live documents, so they're both documents that can be added to as a child situation or their interests or their needs change. And that work is governed by that young person. But certainly when the young person hits 15, then we're working on a futures plan for them between 15 and 17, and then from 17 to not really 18, 17 and a half, where we are to get leaving care plans into the department when a child is 17 and a half now. And really that works through for a child, social and social needs, emotional needs, particularly if they've had clinical support through their care life. How is that going to continue when an agency is not involved? What does that look like from a clinical perspective? Are they going to continue to link in with their counselling support or other support, say? And you look at educational living skills, housing, education, all those things that we do, I guess, from a day to day that a child in care. It's like, well, I'm 18 now and the agency isn't there, and say the carers we're committed, but the child's 18 now, and so they're saying, well, we might provide care now for a younger child, or whatever the circumstances might be, that the child doesn't remain there, the young person doesn't remain there. They need this a quality leaving care plan is vital. It's vital to a child to be able to reference that and have the support of the agency and the Department of Communities and Justice until they're 25. So there's that. There is the leaving care plan, but still, even when you've worked through a leaving care plan with a child, say their birth family, if they're involved, they might look at that document when they're 19 or 20, and it just looks like a whole lot of confusing words. So not that it's not written well, it's just that there's just so much in there. And so for young people that we've supported to 18, they can continue to stroll into the office and catch up with us or their local CSC, their local community services center, and seek that advice. So and young people know that's available to them once they've left care up until the age of 25, around all those things I mentioned. Housing support. Yeah. If they thought they were going to stay to carers for longer, but suddenly something's happened, life happens, and so suddenly they need some support around Centrelink, or a situation has meant that they need some more emotional support and linking into those services. So there's that available to young people for that time period once they've left care too, which is
wow, that's amazing. But I assume not every organization has that in place, and not every organization in every state would have that kind of in place either, because children, I mean, otherwise, I guess, the last interview I had with Felicity, I mean, she seems to, she had been in the foster care system for most of her life, and she, in her opinion or her experience, she knows of people who have had little to no support, and that the services are there, but they're not known to the child in a way that's that it's easy accessible for them. I think it's like either hard to apply, or they have to kind of really push for services to happen. So your organization sounds amazing, covering all the bases, and then I'm just not sure if it's in every organization or every state.
Well, certainly that's, I'm talking from what the system is, and the experience of what the young person you were speaking to is not uncommon either, unfortunately. And again, you know, I'm talking from the operative, what we look to do as an agency for young people when they're leaving care. And these are the things that are certainly in place, but it can depend. You know, if you're a young person who, you know, the idea of being in care is it's all, you know, they may have had multiple placements as well, and they feel really disengaged from departments and certain services, and maybe, you know, caseworkers, they may have had multiple, you know, and that's something that as an agency we look at too, is staff and retaining staff too, because you do find that, you know, unfortunately, a young person might have been connected to a worker or someone within the office, and they unfortunately they moved on, you know, as people do, and the young person doesn't feel like they can necessarily go into the office or seek out that support because they just don't feel like they've got that connection to anybody there. So I guess I speak of the ideal, that there's certainly a lot of circumstances where those things are in place, but young people don't feel like they can seek that out because it just seems so foreign, and they just want to forget about it. So that's, you know, which is horrible. It really is. And a lot of agencies like ours and others, you know, across New South Wales and across the country, I know are working hard on leaving care, because it's an area that has been of a lot of focus, certainly in the last few years that I've been working in this area, because leaving care hasn't always been done well.
Yeah. Well said.
And
yeah.
like I said before, I am speaking from, that is exactly how it looks, and we just need that to look like that for every young person that leaves care, because they deserve that, and they need to feel connected to the people that they need to be reaching out to if say family aren't available.
That's right. So we're just gonna I just want to talk, we've got a few more questions, like we're up to question 8 out of 11. And just talking about your role in the work that you're doing in court, in when you do go to court, and what you say, and how you evaluate things. So why your role? Why does your role in court matter? And what are the types of orders that can be made for a permanent support program?
When we're working with children who we have case management responsibility for, which happened a lot over the last couple of years, where the local CSCs, the local community services centres, weren't doing direct casework with kids in out of home care. That we had a lot of case management transfers for kids over to FSPs like us, funded service providers, to do that work. So when we're working with children, and we're doing day-to-day casework and working with households and things, like I said before, we're really looking to address what permanency options there are for children, and we have these people in DCJ called permanency coordinators, and it's their role now to speak to the managers of casework within each individual office and kind of really delve into what's happening for children. And it's our responsibility to know and to be able to put forward a child where we think they're through our casework, through our conversations, that we could hopefully move to a different pathway, whether that's a restoration or an adoption or a guardianship. And so our court work matters. Every piece of information that we document, from a writing on a bit of paper to a phone call we received, or a text message, or any piece of interaction we've had from a home visit or a family time report, that can all be annexed for court, along with an affidavit to presenting information around why we think a particular pathway could be achieved. And so it's essential. Our work's essential in that space because the team's doing that day-to-day stuff. They're involved on a day-to-day basis with these children, and children are presenting to us how they feel and what they think and what they want. And if we feel that that's achievable, we're the ones that hold all that information, I guess. So we can be requested to present that information to our permanency coordinators that support us, and they're our link between us as an agency and the courts, and we work with them around what we need to do from a legal perspective. So all our work's really important. We're the ones that are working directly with everyone involved to try and make those things happen, make those changes. So it's, I guess we're heavily involved.
Yeah. Yes, very.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple more questions.
Yes, sorry, I'm rabbiting on there.
No, this is unbelievable. I'm kind of sometimes get stumped for words, because I just think this is just such amazing work that you're doing, and just the wealth of knowledge that you have. And it is hard because you can get a lot of high turnover, and if people in your organization aren't familiar with self-care and even being aware that to identify situations where they do need self-care, that's really important. And you as a person must just have a lot of resilience, a lot of really good interpersonal skills, good communication skills, and good problem solving skills as well. And I've known you since high school. Like we got we were hanging out in high school, and just like, I think, and it's just about having that real positive outlook, and working towards doing something greater, and knowing that you've contributed to someone else's life in such a impactful way is just such a great thing. I think it's just so nourishing for the soul, and it's probably why a lot of people stay in it and continue to do it. But unfortunately, there are lots of people that it's not for them, or it's just for them for just a certain like a certain period of time. Something might happen in their life, like you were saying, just life circumstances, they can't handle the load. And I'm sure how to your organization knows what how many cases, or the caseload is too much, too little, with what's happening, and you can manage that really well together with good communication and good organization.
Yeah, it's having a really good team, and I'm really thankful for that. It's people who come in every day, and they leaving whatever's happening for them at the door, and they're committed, and that's something that I like to think I've contributed to, is creating, I guess, that team. But essentially, they're the ones that they're doing the day-to-day. So I'm really thankful for them, for sure.
Yeah. So what my question number 9, what are some tips for talking to children and young people?
It's it can be challenging, and I always come back to trust. It's, you've got the children who've come from some circumstances that are so far removed from anything that I or someone else may have experienced, and you need to really take the time just to listen. I've kind of made mistakes early on, and sometimes still do, around trying to be a bit of a problem solver, and some things just take time. And sometimes children and young people, they just want you to sometimes be comfortable in the quiet, in a space where no one's saying anything. And for some people that can be uncomfortable, but it can just be about being with a child in that space sometimes, and just really being being clear and direct around certain things and empathic at the same time. It's a real seesaw, I guess. Around just being with a child, especially when they're, say, heightened or they're not feeling well. I learned a lot of strategies in the past around just being in their space where it's safe. Obviously, you need to keep yourself safe as well. But for a lot of children, young people we work with, they just need you to be there while they work through and self-settle sometimes if they can. So if you're consistent, I work with a lot of young people, and if you say you're going to do something and you don't do, you've got to do what you say you're going to do, I think. And so they can start to see you for someone who they can rely on when others might have let them down in the past. So you don't always get it right, obviously. I'm speaking from the ideal again, but ideally, that's something that's worked for me.
Yeah, fantastic. And how often do social workers and carers get access to support and training with the challenging work that you do?
Well, every agency that I've worked for over the last 12 or so years has been really, really strong on providing training, not just policy type driven training, but training around self-care, keeping yourself mentally well. Of course, trauma-informed training, like I've just described. You need to really understand, we talk about best practice, I guess, but it really does mean, how we can best work with children and young people in a trauma-informed way. And I think being trauma-informed is really just having an understanding of what a child's histories look like. I say understanding again, but I really do mean an appreciation for, what life has looked like for them. So there's a lot of training for staff around that, and a lot of resources that agencies provide internally, I think, but a lot of training provided externally with certain services as well. So, in my experience, particularly in the last 3 years with my current agency, when something has come up that is available to attend, there's always, well, more often than not, that time for staff to be able to go and attend something that's really going to mean that it's going to benefit their work and benefit the people we're working with. So there's lots of different online training we can access. Unfortunately, people haven't been able to go and interact together with COVID like we once were able to do, sit in rooms, and there's a whole lot of butcher's paper on walls and people are really dissecting things and kind of going over things. Unfortunately, that's moved to more online now, so it's less interactive. I know a lot of staff have really missed that personable side of training. So that's starting to come back in a little bit now too. A lot of it's been online, where you kind of just, as we're doing now, which is going well, but it's just the opportunity to kind of be around people, and you might be really challenged by the work you're doing right now, and you sit around other people who are seeing the same challenges, and it's really humanizing, I think. So hopefully there's more and more of that coming back in. But yeah, there's lots of training available to staff, which is good.
Yeah, that's great. And it's good to feel, I guess, supported. Because whatever challenges you're facing in your workspace, there's chances are that, a lot of people have either experienced that same challenge. And like you said, the brainstorming, there's nothing better than a good brainstorm and writing all the challenges on the board and trying to, nut it out. And it might take a few hours, but I think that's, when you're butting heads together and collaborating like that, and really kind of teasing out every single avenue to get a thorough picture, can really benefit people, because knowledge is key, and experience, and it's just good to have that support.
It is. There's always someone in the room who's got less or more experience than you, so it's starting to filter back in now, as we kind of start to be around each other a little bit more. But it was certainly something that people were missing. But no, there's plenty of training available, either internally with our own clinical team, our other we've got a wellbeing team within our agency too. So there's lots of training available for all the different areas of work that people are in.
Yep, fantastic. And where can, so this is our last question, which is almost like a call to action. So so where can carers, social workers access any kind of, information, training to upskill their knowledge or their attitudes in the current foster care climate? Where's the best kind of resources and websites and things that you would recommend that they should go to?
Particularly if they can research their local area, local out-of-home care provider. There's a lot of agencies, familiar agencies, community-based, not-for-profit agencies that, and it's not hard to I guess look up or Google a local agency who's providing out-of-home care services, because every website you'd almost come across that are providing out-of-home care services similar to ours would have a whole lot of information just on their individual websites, around what it means to be a carer and what the process is for putting an expression of interest in to be a carer, and some of those real life stories that you see on a lot of out-of-home care agency sites around real carers on video talking about their experiences. So that's a good way to start, is just researching your local area around an out-of-home care provider. That can be helpful. More broadly, the DCJ website, Department of Communities and Justice, they've got huge pieces of information. You just really need to go into click on a particular area, and you can. There's more information than you'll probably need around particular areas of working in out-of-home care or being a carer or working with children with challenging behaviours or trauma-informed care or self-care and things like that. So the DCJ website itself, Department of Community Justice, that can be helpful. And then there's something called the PSP Learning Hub that we use. So the PSP Learning Hub, you can go into, and it's got a whole lot of information. If you wanted to go into there, the Office of Children's Guardian, the Office of Children's Guardians are a really good resource, because they're the peak body that set the standards for the work we do. So you can go in and look at the Office of Children's Guardian. They'll talk about what children should expect. The rights of a child, and what would make you someone who could live up to those expectations that children should expect when they're in care. So the OCGs are another good resource. So they're probably the main few, I think, for people to tap into.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. Yeah, that's a lot of content that would be covered there through the websites, and then what we've mentioned today. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time today, and really enjoyed chatting with you. And hopefully, later down the track, maybe I'll have you back on again.
Oh, I love it. No, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. You're doing great stuff. I appreciate being involved. Appreciate being asked. So it's been great. It's been fun.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, I'll let you go, because I know we're kind of gone over the time, but I'd love to chat with you just at any time. I'll give you an update on I think I'm going to upload you might be after this month, so I kind of do one a month. So
okay.
I've sent one to the editor, which I did before, because you got sick. So it might just be a little bit later. So
Right.
Cool. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
It's good chatting with you, and hopefully make contact with you again soon.
Yeah, I've got your email, don't I? So I can send you those audios.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. All right.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much again,
Thank
and
you.
chat to you
Happy
soon.
travels.
Yeah,
See
thank
ya.
you. Bye.